First of all right, Varun, thank you so much for joining in, and for everyone's knowledge, Varun is the founder for a very interesting startup that goML has engaged with to help called Enfinite Technologies. Varun, again, I really thank you for doing this. We love interacting with our customers day in day out. Would love to
Thanks
hear
for
some
that.
feedback that you've actually had with the working with the team. But before we get into any of that, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience, what you've been up to and what you've been doing?
Sure. So thank you, Rishabh, for having me on on this call. So we worked with goML on one of our projects, and it was a very pleasant experience. So yeah, so in this call, I hope I can just convey how we worked with them, what our use cases were, and then where we reached in terms of what our requirements were. So quick background about myself. I'm one of the I'm one of the co-founders at Enfinite and the CTO here. Me and Rahul, we started this company around 5 years ago. And what we do here is we build optimization tools for upstream oil and gas companies. So we have our Gen AI models, we have our data science based we have these time series models which help us predict failures, help us optimize our firms. And so like in a very 30,000 feet overview, that is what our company does. Is we have this optimization platform for upstream oil and gas companies.
Great, great. First of all, thanks, Varun, for that introduction. Right. While obviously it's a very good problem to solve because we also work heavily in the ONG in the manufacturing sector, right, working with the likes of ArcelorMittal and Kian. Being again from manufacturing background, I've seen this to be a good challenge, right? But then, what really prompted you to solve, or probably I would probably reframe that question, but what really prompted you to leverage something like GenAI, which is very nascent, right? It's still, I mean, and we work with customers day in, day out, including yourself. We're also trying to figure out what are the right use cases right now for our clients jointly. Right? So, what really prompted you to leverage something which is very nascent in a proven concept like this that you're already implementing?
So this is a good question, and this is a question we are asking ourselves as well in terms of how can we use this new technology to make our product better. So one thing that we figured out was we have very big data sources, big data silos with a lot of structured data, with a lot of unstructured data as well. And if we could have a tool which can extract information from this big data silos in a fashion which is a bit more simplistic. So right now what we do, we have this very complex queries that we write, or we have to write some APIs which can interact with these data warehouses. So could there be a way wherein we could build a tool which can simplify this process, make it a bit more reachable to our end users, which could be our clients, which could be our internal users as well. So that is where we started thinking about a platform or a tool which can do something like this. And GenAI was the answer. Because if you see the use cases where it has been used, it's some sort of information retrieval where we can customize it to a use case which is very niche in terms of our data sets.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely, and that's what we also continue to tell our customers, right, that if you probably build the right data and if you want to, fast track the whole
right.
adoption of that data, definitely GenAI brings that focus, right? Because one thing that we've seen, right, in last 1 year again is that the use cases haven't changed heavily with the advent of GenAI. We are still implementing the use cases
That
that we
is
were
right.
always implementing,
Yes.
right? But that whole paradigm of 80% time when it was being spent in building it, and then 20% time in implementing, adopting. It has now changed. 20% time is the effort that you spend in building, but you've got 80% of that time now to build that runway, building adaptability, consumability, and whatnot, right? And that's where you're seeing a lot of success, right? But then, and it happened by happy stance, like Varun, that we got in touch, and I really thank you for that
Exactly.
again.
Yeah.
But how did before we get into your experience of, and I'd love to hear about that. But how did goML's partnership with AWS also, help you probably build the initial pilot that
Take,
you're now launching?
yeah, for sure. So we had a couple of liaisons with AWS, and we put this across to them that we had this use case that we were trying to build, and would they have any sort of like partners or any help that they could provide us in building a tool like this? That is when they gave us. So there is a partner company called goML who specialize in Gen AI based tools, which could be something that like my company at Enfinite could use and could use to leverage in building the tool that we want. And when we talked to one of our liaisons in AWS again, so they were very, what do you say? So they were very adamant, not adamant, but they were very strong in terms of, okay, try this out, see how it will work. And so again, we were, why not? And because again, they were partner companies, because goML was a partner company at AWS, it gives them a tick mark, right? It is not some random company they have gotten from some online sources. So being a AWS partner company, you get that some sort of veracity that, okay, this could be a team that we could work with, and they have a proven record. So yeah, in terms of how we found out about goML was through our partner in AWS. And then because they said goML was a partner, had some expertise in goML, like in GenAI. And also we saw the things that you guys had done. So it was a big plus in working with your team for sure.
Absolutely. Again, and one more thing that just for everyone's knowledge, why I love work, and we are exclusively on AWS, right? Why we love working
Correct.
with AWS is because they really believe, and that's the culture that they built for themselves, right? They obviously started as a startup, and I've been working with AWS for almost 10 years. They're still trying to operate like a startup, right? And that's why they believe in startups that have brilliant ideas like yourself, and they actually invest heavily into these startups as well as
Yeah,
partners like
exactly.
ours, right? And I think that's what helps us probably prove these fast track pilots, right? But now coming to the most
Correct.
interesting question, which I love asking my customers, right, Varun, because I run the customer success function as well.
No, for
How
sure.
was your experience of working with goML? Like we executed the initial pilot, and obviously now you're launching it heavily, right? How was your experience working with goML?
So yeah, like I said before, it was a very pleasant experience in terms of working with the team, working with your team in goML who worked with us. It was a very pleasant experience. And like one point to add is it was something that it was new for us. And like this is the first partner company I've worked with like AWS or some sort of third party client to work with our tech. And it was like a very good experience. So it is something that we would take with us. And yeah, it's like, so it was an experience where we learned a lot as well. That is for sure. Because that is one thing I feel when you work with some like third party customer, they try to keep their knowledge internal. They don't share it with you. This is something that I really like with goML, wherein they were more so than like our clients, they were like partners. So we worked together. We had these meetings which were very regular. So those sort of things is something that even in our like work culture we have that a lot. So it was a very easy transition to work with your team. So
No,
that was
brilliant.
a
Thank
big
you so
plus.
much, Varun, for that. And we'd love to probably have this as a long-term relationship because that's what we do with most of our customers, right? But before I let you go, right? First of all, thanks for those good words. But before I let you go up, because this is something that I do day in day out. I'm pretty sure you're doing that on your end as well with your customers. I interact with a lot of tech leaders, right? And the biggest problem that I've heard from the whole GenAI adoption perspective from them is that they are not able to think of the right use cases for adoption. And that's what at one point
That is a
at
good
one of
point.
our offerings, right, that we are solving that problem for our customers. But what's that one advice that you'd want to give for your counterparts in the industry as well when it comes to GenAI adoption?
So the thing is, GenAI is a very like is the buzzword right now. Everybody wants to use it. So you want to use it. That is for sure. Like you want to leverage, you want to use it, but it might not be right in every use case. But sometimes it can overcomplicate your product. So one thing would be to, if you want to use it, okay, build a POC first and then test it with your users. Than just jumping onto the entire thing wherein you build the entire product and then you go out and release it without actually testing or without using it with your final end users or end customers. So in our case, we did that. We had an idea how we could use like GenAI in terms of our tool. We built a very simple POC initially, and we showed this to our customers and to our end users. They liked it a bit. So then is when we worked with your team to build a proper POC which could actually show the results that we wanted and get our vision in front of us. Post that is again when we got another tick mark saying, okay, this is a really good tool. So yeah, one step at a time, than just jumping completely on board. So that is something that at least we try doing ourselves. And
No, that's absolutely brilliant, and that's what I also tell all the folks that I speak to, right? That now is the time, and probably GenAI more than the capabilities perspective, it gives you that platform to experiment fast, fail
exactly, you can
slash
build stuff
learn
very
fast,
quickly. Yes,
exactly, and scale quickly, right? It's speed is of
correct.
essence, right? That's what it actually gives you as a platform. So that's our suggestion as well. But again, thank you so much, Varun, for your time. It's absolutely a
Yes,
pleasure
Rishabh.
to work with you as a customer and then probably have you on this testimonial as well. And I hope we can continue to work together in future as well. But again, thank you so
Same
much.
here, Rishabh. It was a pleasure being on here, talking to you. So yeah,
Absolutely.
hopefully it's a long partnership.
Looking forward to it, Varun. Thank you so much.
Yes.